Just need to further prove our point, because some little silly niggas was talking about that we just chatting and we don't got no scriptures when we said the black Hebrew Israelites were misinformed. But let's just return to the main point right there. Our main point was about the 10 tribes. According to 2 Kings, and we're going right to the scripture right here, 2 Kings 17:23, it says, until the Lord or Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight. So when it says Israel here, and this is all based on the scripture. If you don't know this, then you need to start from Genesis. Israel in this sense is speaking of the 10 tribes. We're in 2 Kings. As he had said by all his servants, the prophets. So his servants are the prophets. He said that he would do this. And at this time in 2 Kings 17:23, he's removing the 10 tribes of Israel. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria to this day. Now as we go a little bit forward and we scroll down right here, it says, then the king of Assyria in verse 24 brought men from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of. You know what instead of? That's anti in the Greek. When it says antichrist, instead of Christ, anti, instead of the children of Israel. So here, the king of Assyria, he brought peoples or men, in the brackets they say men, but that's not there in the Hebrew. That's just for the flow of the context, from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them. So he took these people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, Sepharvaim, and he placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of, in place of the children of Israel, in place of the 10 tribes, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So when you understand this well, you'll understand why in the New Testament there was that difference between the Judahites, or the so-called Jews who really were the Judahites, the black tribes, and Samaria, the northern tribes, these people that were descended now from people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, Sepharvaim. And this is where we get the Jews who say they are Jews but are not, according to Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. But it goes on a little bit more. If you go to verse 25, it says, and so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there. So this is telling about how these other peoples come into our heritage and claim to be of Israel and claim to be Jews and claim to be Israelites. It's right there in the scriptures, 2 Kings chapter 17. Go read it. That's our facts. There's the scriptures. You understand? We're not just talking about this, but we mentioned it. We didn't point out the scriptures like we're pointing out here. We're just going to put the scriptures on the screen for you. Hopefully you can read, and hopefully you'll go and study this for yourself, because it's very important, you understand, in untangling some of the misinformation, disinformation that many of our brothers, the Hebrew Israelites, have, not just about Ethiopia, not just about Haile Selassie I, not just about the true Rastafari, but about what they are claiming. They're claiming that their list is the 12 tribes of Israel, but clearly the scriptures contradict that, because it says that Israel, the 10 tribes, were removed out of Yahweh's sight. You understand? He destroyed them from being a people, and instead of the Israelites, the king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, Sepharvaim, and he placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of, in place of the 10 tribes of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there. So we get in the beginning right here in this very important chapter that they feared not Yahweh. They didn't fear Yahweh because they were not Israelites. And there wasn't Israelites. Therefore Yahweh sent lions. He sent lions among them. Note that right there, because we're representing the lion of the tribe of Judah. Therefore Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Now a lot of you are talking about, we're just chatting, we're just talking, how am I going to believe you? You're not quoting scripture. We were quoting scripture in the last video. Y'all didn't go and look it up. Y'all were just watching the videos, the pictures, but y'all wasn't listening to what was really being said. So now we have to do this to show you exactly where we're getting this from the scriptures, and now you got to rebut this, you understand, and respond to this, or bring forth your evidence, or just admit that it's truth. But let's go on to verse 26 of 2 Kings chapter 17. It says, wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria. Because remember, they're under the king of Assyria. They're not under Yahweh. You understand? They're not Israelites. You understand? They're not in allegiance and fidelity to the throne and the monarchy of David, just like a lot of y'all are not in allegiance to the monarchy of David. We're speaking about the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, Qedamawi Haile Selassie, the king of kings of Ethiopia, the true king of Israel. That is his title. Recognize this, or understand this. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed. Check that out. The nations, speaking about the 10 tribes, they were nations which the king of Assyria had removed based on what Yahweh spoke to his servants, the prophets. You understand? Therefore this was done by the hand of man, or by the Assyrians, because of the disobedience of those 10 tribes. Just like many of y'all are disobedient and have been removed. You understand? We here in the West, because we were lost, because we were disobedient, and this is part of the generational curse, and now we're about to come out of the blessing, and you want to try to verse I on this? Come on, look at the scriptures. Look what the scriptures is saying to you right here. The nations which thou hast removed and placed them in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Check that out. They don't know the manner of the God of the land, because they're from other strange lands. They don't know the manner of LOJSociety. They don't know the manner of Yahweh Eloheinu. They don't know the manner. Therefore, he have sent lions among them. So they recognize that the lions that came among them and slew some of them were sent by the God of the land, you understand, who they did not know the manner of. Just like you don't know the manner, you understand, of the true God of Israel. That's why you blaspheme and slander the elect of God, Qedamawi Haile Selassie, to your shame. But let's go on with the scriptures right here, because this is the facts, this is the evidence that you asked for. Therefore he have sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them. Because, why do they slay them? Why does Yahweh send the lions among them? Because they do not know the manner of the God of the land. They don't know the manner of Yahweh. Just like y'all don't know the manner of Yahweh, because if you did, then you recognize that we were versing you on scriptures. You understand? For your own good, but you're too arrogant. But let's go to verse 27 now. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the God of the land. So one of our priests was carried forward to teach these people from, let's go back to that verse right there, verse 24, 2 Kings 17:24. Teach the people of Babylon, Kuta, Ava, Hamath, Sepharvaim. These are the modern day so-called Jews, and this is where they come from. This is where they can say, yes, we were there in that time, but they're not telling you about their beginning. But 2 Kings 17:25 says, and so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there. They're dwelling there. You understand? So one of our priests, one of the real Hebrew Israelite black priests, you understand, Ethiopian Hebrew priests, was brought from thence to teach them, to dwell with them, and to teach them the manner of LOJSociety, to teach them the manner of Yahweh Eloheinu. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, or Bethel as you would say, and taught them how they should fear Yahweh. You remember, they were teaching these foreign nations who the king of Assyria had put in place of the 10 tribes that were removed from the land because of their disobedience. So here's how we're getting people becoming so-called Hebrews, or rather Israelite Tish. This is where they get Israelite Tish people and so-called Jewish people from, according to the scriptures. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how they should fear Yahweh. But check this out in verse 29. Howbeit, every nation, each of the Babylon, Kuta, Ava, Hamath, Saphava, every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Sukkot Benot, and the men of Kut made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burned their children in fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared the Yahweh. This is how they feared. This is how they so-called reverence. This was the Judaism. This other